Okay, good day everyone. I am Ma'am Jacqueline D. Bautista and welcome to our science lesson. This is the third day of our discussion about evolution. Now, have you ever wondered kung paano natin nalaman na nagbabago ang mga organisms over time? I mean, kung titingnan natin ng mga animals and plants around us today, mapapansin natin na bawat species may kanya-kanyang unique features. Pero here's the interesting question. Saan nanggaling ang mga differences na ito? At paano natin nalaman na life has actually changed through millions of years? Well, hindi lang yan basta theory na iniisip ng mga scientist. There are actually different pieces of evidence that help us understand and support the idea of evolution. And today, that's exactly what we're going to explore. Pag-uusapan natin ang mga evidences of evolution, from fossils, body structures, similarities among organisms, hanggang sa DNA and other scientific discoveries. So if you're ready to discover the clues that scientists use to understand the history of life on Earth, let's get started. Let's discover how the story of evolution is written in the evidence. Alright, before we dive in, let's check muna what we're going to learn today. By the end of this lesson, our learning competency is to use information from secondary sources to explain how lines of evidence such as fossils, biogeography, and comparative morphology support the occurrence of evolution. So again, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to do three important things. First, matutukoy at maililista ninyo ang tatlong pangunahing ebidensya na sumusuporta sa evolution. So, hindi lang natin sila babanggitin, we'll also understand what each evidence means. Second, maipapaliwanag ninyo kung paano ipinapakita ng bawat evidence na nagbabago ang mga organisms over time. In other words, titingnan natin ang clues na iniwan ng life through millions of years. And third, matutuhan nating pahalagahan kung paano nangangalap at nagsusuri ng ebidensya ang mga scientists para maintindihan ang history of life on Earth. So simple lang ang goal natin today, 3 things to remember, understand, and appreciate. Ready na? Then let's dive in and discover the evidence behind evolution. Let's start with a fun pre-lesson activity. Ang tawag dito ay What's My Evidence? Clue Challenge. So here's how it works. I will read 3 sets of clues. Each set describes one kind of scientific evidence that proves organisms change over time. Kailangan ninyong makinig ng mabuti and guess, what am I? Sana ay makasali kayong lahat. Pwede kayong mag-comment sa ibaba o isipin ang sagot sa inyong isipan. So are you ready? Let's begin with our first clue set. Okay, here's clue set number 1. Pakikinig ng mabuti ha. I am the remains or traces of plants and animals that lived long ago. You usually find me buried deep inside rocks, ice, or hardened resin. The deeper you dig, the older I am, and the more different I look from animals alive today. Ano kaya ito? Think about it for a few seconds. And the answer is fossils. Tama. Ang fossils ay mga labi o bakas ng mga organismong nabuhay noong unang panahon. Okay, great job kung nakuha ninyo agad. Let's move on to our second clue. Moving on to our second clue, makikinig ulit ng mabuti. I am the study of where living things alive around the world. I notice that similar animals often live in nearby places, even separated by oceans. I show that where life lives tells a story about who their ancestors were. Ano kaya ito ngayon? Isipin ninyo kung saan nakatira ang mga organisms. Okay, you got it? Biogeography. Okay, perfect. Ang biogeography ay tungkol sa kung saan matatagpuan ang mga buhay na organismo sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo. So, two down, one more to go. Let's proceed to our final clue. And for our final clue, listen closely. Last na to. I compare the body parts of different animals. I see that human hands, bat wings, and whale flippers have the same bone arrangement but different uses. I show that similar structures mean we share a common family tree. What am I? Huling hula na to. Okay, perfect. Comparative morphology. Wow, ang galing ninyo ah. You got all three. So ngayon, alam na ninyo yung tatlong ebidensya na pag-uusapan natin. But before we go deeper, let's have a quick review muna about what evolution really means. Okay, so what exactly is evolution? In simple terms, evolution means change. Specifically, ang pagbabago sa characteristics or traits ng mga organisms from one generation to the next. So, hindi ibig sabihin na biglang nagbabago ang isang organism overnight. Instead, these changes happen gradually across many generations. Now, another term we use is descent with modification. Ano naman ang ibig sabihin nito? Imagine na may common ancestors ang isang group of organisms. As generations pass, different changes or modifications can occur. Over a very long period of time, these changes can lead to the variety of organisms that we see today. Kaya kung iisipin natin, ang mga organisms na nakikita natin ngayon ay parang resulta ng napakahabang history of changes. But here's the big question. Paano natin nalaman na nangyari talaga ang mga pagbabagong ito? Scientists didn't simply guess. They look for evidence, clues from the past and the present that can help explain how life has changed over time. And that's where our lesson gets really interesting. Now let's discover the evidence that supports evolution. Here they are, the three major lines of evidence that support evolution. First, we have fossils. Ang fossils ay mga labi, bahagi o bakas ng mga organismong nabuhay noong nakaraan. They give scientists a glimpse of what life looked like millions of years ago. Parang mga clues from the past na naiwan hanggang sa kasalukuyan. Second, we have biogeography. Ito naman ang pag-aaral kung saan matatagpuan ang iba't ibang organisms sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo. Scientists look at their geographic distribution and ask, bakit kaya dito lang sila matatagpuan? At bakit may similarities ang organisms na nasa magkakalayong lugar? And third, we have comparative morphology. This is the comparison of the body structures and physical features of different organisms. Tinitingnan natin kung ano ang similarities and differences sa kanilang katawan, and sometimes these similarities can reveal clues about their evolutionary relationships. So remember these three fossils, biogeography, and comparative morphology. These are three important clues that scientists use to understand the history and changes of life on Earth. And now let's take them one by one and see what each piece of evidence can tell us about evolution. So let's start with the first one, fossils. So what exactly are fossils? Ang fossils ay mga preserved remains, parts, or traces ng mga animals and plants na nabuhay millions or even billions of years ago. Usually, makikita ang fossils inside rocks, but they can also be preserved in places like ice or amber. For example, may mga insects na natrap sa amber and preserved for a very long time. So parang time capsule from the past. Pero here's something really interesting about fossils. Hindi lang sila basta mga lumang buto o halaman. They actually tell us a story about life has changed or about how life has changed. And to understand the story, kailangan nating tingnan kung saan sila matatagpuan sa mga layers ng bato. Okay? So kapag tinignan natin ang layers of rock or rock strata, no, may pattern tayong makikita. In general, the deeper layers are older, while the layers closer to the surface are younger or more recent. Think of it this way, parang book ang layers ng Earth. The deeper layers are like the older pages of the story, while the layers near the top are the newer pages. And just like reading a history book, scientists can study these layers and fossils to learn what kind of organisms lived in the past, when they lived, and how life changed over time. So, fossils are more than just old bones or preserved remains. They are clues, pieces of evidence that help scientists reconstruct the history of life on Earth. Now, let's see what these fossil clues can actually tell us about evolution. So, how exactly do fossils show us that organisms have changed over time? So, here's where it gets really interesting. Kapag inayos ng scientists ang mga fossils from the oldest to the most recent, may makikita tayong pattern of change. So for example, makikita natin dito no, na ang ancient organisms often look different from the organisms we see today. Over many generations, may mga pagbabago sa kanilang shape, size, body structures, and other physical features. And these changes didn't happen overnight. Unti-unti itong nangyari over thousands, millions, or even much longer periods of time. May mga organisms na lumitaw, may mga populations na nagbago, at may mga species na nawala or became extinct. So kapag pinag-aralan natin ang fossil record, parang pinapanood natin ang long history of life on Earth, one layer at a time. And that tells us something important, that life has not always looked the way it does today. The organisms we see now are part of a much longer story of change and adaptation through time. So, fossils aren't simply remains of dead organisms. They are evidence that helps us see the history of evolutionary change. Now, let's move on to our second evidence, biogeography. So, what is biogeography? In simple terms, biogeography is the study of where organisms live and how they are distributed across different parts of the world. Pero bakit kaya importanteng pag-aralan kung saan nakatira ang mga animals and plants? It's because their geographic distribution can give us clues about their evolutionary history. So for example, may mga organisms na magkakalayuman ang lugar kung saan sila nakatira, meron pa ring similarities sa kanilang physical features or characteristics. At ang mga patterns na ito, kung saan sila matatagpuan, kung sino ang malapit nilang kamag-anak, at paano sila kumalat, lahat ng ito ay nagsasabi ng kwento tungkol sa kanilang nakaraan. So let's find out exactly how biogeography shows us that evolution happened. So paano naman pinapakita ng biogeography na nagbabago ang mga organisms over time? So let's imagine this. May dalawang places na magkakapareho ang climate at environmental conditions. Pero kapag pinag-aralan natin ang mga animals living there, mapapansin natin na hindi sila exactly the same. May mga similarities, oo, pero may differences din sa kanilang appearance, behavior, and other characteristics. So what does this tell us? One possible explanation is that some of these organisms may have shared common ancestors. Then nang makarating sila sa iba't ibang lugar, they became separated from each other and experienced different environments. Over many generations, they gradually changed and adapted to the conditions around them. Parang magkapatid na lumaki sa magkaibang lugar, same family background, pero dahil magkaiba ang environment and experiences, pwedeng magkaroon ng differences over time. And here's the important part. If organisms never change and remain exactly the same, or never change and remain exactly the same, we would expect to see the same organisms with the same characteristics everywhere. Pero hindi yun ang nakikita natin. Instead, we see different species with similarities that can reflect their shared ancestry, along with differences that develop as populations became separated and adapted to different environment. So the variety we see across different places gives scientists important clues about how life has changed and diversified over time. That's why biogeography is such an important piece of the evolution puzzle. So, magbigay tayo ng real life example how biogeography shows change over time. So, let's start with the famous one, the Galapagos finches. If you look at the map, makikita ninyo na ang Galapagos Island, here, no, ay located in the Pacific Ocean, which is quite far from the coast of South America. Pero here's the fascinating part. The different Galapagos finches are believed to have descended from a common ancestral finch from South America. Imagine that, around 2 to 3 million years ago, an ancestral finch may have reached the islands. Posible kasing natangay ito ng strong winds or storms habang tumatawid sa dagat. And once they arrived, the story became even more interesting. Over millions of years, the finches became separated across different islands. At dahil magkakaiba ang environment, food sources, at conditions sa bawat island, they gradually develop different characteristics. For example, some finches develop larger and stronger beaks that were useful for cracking hard seeds, while others develop smaller or specialized beaks for different types of food. So, generation after generation, their traits gradually change as they adapted to their surroundings. And today, Scientists recognize around 18 species of Darwin's finches in the Galapagos. And what makes them fascinating is that each species has its own unique characteristics, especially the shape and size of their beaks. So, from one ancestral population, we eventually see different species adapted to different environments. And that's why the Galapagos finches are such a great example of biogeography and evolution. One ancestor, different islands, different environments, and over millions of years, different species emerge. Pretty amazing, right? So it shows us that where organisms live can give us important clues about their evolutionary history. That's evolution written across a map. Now let's move on to our second example, Australia's amazing marsupials. So think about animals like kangaroos, koalas, and wombats. Makikita natin na marami sa kanila ay native sa Australia. And that makes us wonder, why are so many unique marsupials found in Australia? Now, to understand that, kailangan nating balikan ang history of the continents. Na ang sabi, millions of years ago, Australia, Antarctica, and South America were once connected as part of the much larger landmass called Gondwana. No, isang buo yan sila. Pero habang gumagalaw ang Earth's tectonic plates, the continents gradually separated and moved farther apart. Eventually, Australia became isolated from the other land masses. Nahiwalay siya. And this isolation was very important. Bakit? Dahil naging geographically isolated ang Australia, many of its organisms evolved separately from those on other continents. Over millions of years, they adapted to their own environments and developed unique characteristics. Kaya kapag pumunta ka sa Australia, makakakita ka ng animals na parang exclusive characters ng continent na yun. But one important correction, hindi ibig sabihin na walang ibang kalaban at doon lang sila nag-evolve. Australia had its own predators, competitors, and environmental challenges. The key idea is that its long geographic isolation allowed many lineage to follow their own evolutionary paths. So when we look at Australia's kangaroos, koalas, and other unique animals, their distribution gives scientists clues about their evolutionary history. So from ancient connected continents to separated land masses to organisms evolving in different places. So that's biogeography in action. And now let's look at our third example, and this one is much closer to home, the Philippine tarsier. Makikita ang Philippine tarsier sa ilang bahagi ng Pilipinas including Bohol, Samar, Leyte, and Mindanao, which are related, while related tarsier species can also be found in other parts of Southeast Asia, such as Borneo and Sulawesi. Pero here's the interesting question. Why do we find tarsiers in different islands and regions? So to understand that, kailangan naman nating balikan ang geologic history of Southeast Asia. In the past, during periods where sea levels were lower, some islands and land areas in Southeast Asia were more closely connected than they are today. Ibig sabihin, may mga pagkakataon na mas madaling makagalaw ang ilang animals and their ancestors between areas na ngayon ay separated by water. But as the Earth's climate changed and sea levels rose, some of these land connections disappeared. So populations that were once connected eventually became geographically isolated from one another. At kapag matagal na magkahiwalay ang mga populations, they may experience different environments, food sources, and evolutionary pressures. Now, over many generations, these isolated populations can gradually develop differences in their traits and characteristics. Now, so when scientists study the distribution and relationships of tarsiers, they can find clues about how these populations may have moved, became separated, and changed over time. O, di ba nakaka-amaze? The islands and oceans around us aren't just places on a map. They can also tell us a story where organisms came from, how they became separated, and how they evolved. And that's exactly what biogeography helps us understand. And now let's move on to our third evidence, comparative morphology. So what does comparative morphology mean? In simple terms, ito ay ang paghahambing ng body structures ng iba't ibang organisms to see their similarities and differences. Scientists look at the physical features of different species and ask, bakit kaya magkakahawig ang ilang parte ng kanilang katawan? At bakit may mga pagkakaiba rin? Now, comparative morphology has three main types of structures that we need to understand. We have homologous structures, analogous structures, and vestigial structures. So each type tells us something different about evolution. Ngayon, let's discuss each one and see the difference between these three types. Okay, so let's start with the first one, homologous structures. Ito ay mga body parts of organisms na pareho ang pinagmulan pero iba ang gamit or function. Now, take a look at the image. Makikita nyo ang human arm, cat leg, whale flipper, and bat wing. At first glance, parang wala silang connection, di ba? Kasi iba-iba yung gamit nila. The human arm is used for grasping and manipulating objects. The bat's wing is for flying. The whale's flipper is for swimming, while the cat's leg is used for walking and running. Pero kapag tinignan natin ng mas closely ang kanilang bones, may surprising similarity. Makikita natin na similar ang basic arrangement ng kanilang bones. May humerus, yan, radius, ayan, ulna, wrist bones, hand or finger bones, although nagkakaiba ang shape, size, and proportion. So bakit kaya magkakahawig ang basic structure nila kahit magkakaiba ang function? This is where evolution comes in. This similarity suggests that these organisms may share a common evolutionary ancestor. Over many generations, their basic body structures were modified as they adapted to different environments and different ways of life. Parang isang basic design na na-modify for different purposes. One structure for grasping, another for flying, another for swimming, and another for walking. Now, homologous structures are related to a concept we call divergent evolution. So, we'll talk about next. Okay, so let's talk about divergent evolution. So, in simple terms, divergent evolution happens when different species share a common ancestor. But over time, they develop different traits because they adapt to different environments or ways of life. So think of it like this. Isang starting point but different directions. So for example, dogs, di ba? We can say that modern dogs share ancestry with ancient wolf populations. Then over many generations, selective breeding and different environments led to dogs with very different sizes, shapes, behaviors, and physical characteristics. So, kahit may common ancestry, nagkaroon sila ng iba't ibang traits over time. Another example is the group that includes horses, donkeys, and zebras. They are related and share a common evolutionary ancestor. But over time, they develop different characteristics and adaptations. So, the important idea here is common ancestor, different environments or pressures, different adaptations, different forms. Parang isang puno na nagsimula sa iisang trunk. Oh. Tapos, habang lumalaki, nahahati yan sa iba't ibang branches. That's why we call it divergent evolution. The evolutionary paths diverge or move in different directions from a common ancestor. And now that we understand divergent evolution, let's move on to our next type of structure. Analogous structures. So how is this different from homologous structures? Ang analogous structures ay mga body parts na pareho ang gamit or function, pero magkaibang pinagmulan or origin. Now look closely at the picture. The dolphin's flipper, penguin's wing, and shark's fin. Pare-pareho silang ginagamit para lumangoy at gumalaw sa tubig. Same function, same purpose. But here's the key. They do not come from the same ancestor. Magkaiba sila ng pinagmulan. Ang dolphin ay mammal, ang penguin ay ibon, at ang shark ay isda. Tignan nyo ang buto sa loob. Magkakaiba yung ayos tsaka structure. Hindi magkamag-anak ang kanilang mga ninuno. So why do they look and work so similar? Kasi dahil sa pareho silang nabubuhay sa tubig at pareho ang pangangailangan, no? Kaya pareho sila, parang similar sila. So kahit magkaibang pinagmulan, unti-unting nagkahawig yung kanilang katawan para maging angkop sa parehas na kapaligiran na meron sila. Okay? Now, another example. Bat's wing, bird's wing, and butterfly's wing. So kung titingnan natin, pare-pareho silang ginagamit for the exact same purpose, to fly. But just like our previous example, they are not related. They do not share a common ancestor with wings. Magkaiba sila ng pinagmulan. Ang bat ay mammal, ang bird ay avian, at ang butterfly ay insect. Now, tignan nyo rin magkaiba yung structure at pagkakagawa ng mga pakpak nila. Sa ibon, buto tsaka balahibo. Sa bat, buto tsaka balat. Tapos dito sa paru-paro, sa butterfly, ay manipis na lamin na lamang, no? Walang buto. So, why did they all grow wings? Dahil pareho ang kanilang pangangailangan at kapaligiran. So kahit magkaiba ang pinagmulan, unti-unting nag-evolve yung kanilang katawan ng magkahawig upang makalipad at makaligtas. So tinatawag natin itong convergent evolution. Okay, ano ibig sabihin nun? When different species independently evolve similar traits because they adapt to similar environments or needs. So again, analogous structures are related to convergent evolution. This means that two or more different species evolve similar traits in spite of having distinct ancestors. So, kagaya ng bat tsaka ng whale. Itong dalawa na 'to, they both are capable of what we call echolocation or the ability to find something by just releasing sound. And that sound bounces back and helps them find food or navigate their surroundings. O, 'di ba? Amazing. Kahit magkaiba sila ng pinagmulan, isa ay lumilipad, isa ay lumalangoy, but they both develop this amazing ability because it helped them survive. So to recap, again, homologous, same origin, different function, connected to divergent evolution. Analogous, same function, different origin, uh, connected to convergent evolution. Okay, nakuha ba? Now let's move on to our third and last type of structure, vestigial structures. No? Vestigial structures are body parts that no longer have a clear use or function in an organism. May parte ng katawan tayo ng ibang may parte ng katawan tayo o ng ibang animals na nananatili pa rin pero wala na silang silbi sa kasulukuyan. They are actually leftover parts of our ancestors. Ibig sabihin, dati may mahalagang gamit sa mga ninuno nila. Pero dahil nagbago ang pamumuhay at kapaligiran, unti-unti nang hindi na yan ginagamit at lumiliit na lang. Isipin nyo itong mga evolutionary leftovers o mga bakas ng ating nakaraan. These structures are strong evidence for evolution because they show that organisms have changed over time. What was once useful to our ancestors may no longer be needed by us today. So let's look at some examples para mas maintindihan. So human tailbone and appendix. Okay? So let's start with tailbone, no? Dati ay may mahalagang gamit 'yan sa ating mga ninuno. Kasi pinaniniwalaan na tayo daw ay may buntot, no? May buntot sila na ginagamit pang balanse o pang-akyat sa mga puno. Ngayon, wala na tayong buntot. Pero nandun pa rin ang mga tailbone bilang bakas ng ating evolutionary past, no? So next is the appendix. Dati ang mga ninuno natin daw ay kumakain ng maraming halaman na mahirap tunawin. At kailangan ng tulong ng appendix para matunaw yung mga yan. Pero ngayon, mas iba na yung diet natin. At ang appendix ay halos wala ng silbi sa ating digestion. In fact, minsan pa nga ay nagiging cause pa yan ng pagkakasakit natin tulad ng appendicitis, no? So these are examples of vestigial structure. Parts that were useful to our ancestors but are now just leftovers in our bodies. Proof na tayo ay nagbago at nag-evolve through time. Next example, wisdom teeth in humans. So dati, malalaking panga at matitigas na ngipin ang kailangan ng ating mga ninuno para ngatain ang hilaw na pagkain tulad ng karne at matitigas na halaman. Kaya noong panahon nila, kailangan talaga ang wisdom teeth. Extra molars para makatulong sa pagnguya. Ngayon, mas malambot na yung kinakain natin, mas maliit na rin yung ating panga dahil sa evolution ng ating muka at panga structure. Anong resulta? Madalas ay hindi nakasya yung wisdom teeth sa ating panga, di ba? Kaya marami sa atin ang kailangang magpa-remove ng wisdom teeth dahil nagiging sanhiya ng sakit o pagkakaipit ng ibang ngipin. Isa yang magandang halimbawa ng vestigial structure. What was once essential for survival is now often unnecessary and even problematic. Evolution in action, di ba? Next, hip bones in whales. Modern whales are found to still have pelvic bones or buto sa balakang. Yan o. Kahit wala silang paa at hindi naman sila lumalakad. So ano kaya ang ibig sabihin yan? Patunay yan na ang kanilang ninuno ay dating may apat na paa at namumuhay sa lupa. Yes, you heard that right. The ancestors of whales were actually land-dwelling mammals that gradually moved to the water over millions of years. Nang lumipat sila sa tubig at naging fully aquatic, nawala yung kanilang mga paa. Pero natira pa rin ang buto sa balakang bilang bakas ng kanilang nakaraan. So these tiny hip bones, no, in whales are like evolutionary footprints that tell us about their amazing journey from land to sea. Okay? Isn't that incredible? Next example, wings of ostriches. The wings of an ostrich are also regarded as vestigial structures. Bakit? Kasi alam naman natin na hindi kayang lumipad ng ostrich. The wings of an ostrich are too small and their body is too heavy to allow them to fly. So bakit may pakpak pa rin sila? Kasi kung kanilang mga ninuno ay dating may kakayahang lumipad, ngunit sa paglipas ng panahon dahil sa kanilang environment at lifestyle, naging mas malaki at mabigat yung kanilang katawan at nawala yung pangangailangan na lumipad. Instead, they develop strong legs for running fast. Mabilis pa sila sa mga kabayo. So their wings are now vestigial, remnants of a flying past that they no longer need. But wait, gumagamit pa rin sila ng kanilang pakpak for balance, courtship displays, o pampainit ng kanilang mga itlog. So, hindi totally useless. Pero ang original function na paglipad ay wala na. So, that's vestigial structures for you. And our last example, eyes of cavefish. If you compare a cavefish with a surface fish, no, makikita mo na ang cavefish ay mayroon pa ring mata. Pero, hindi naman yan nakakatulong para makakita. Cavefish live in complete darkness, deep inside caves where walang liwanag na pumapasok. Now, dahil sa sobrang dilim, hindi na kailangan ng mata para makakita. Over millions of years, their eyes gradually became smaller and non-functional. But the eye structure is still there, vestigial, a leftover from their ancestors that lived in sunlit waters and had fully functional eyes. So this means that these eyes are considered vestigial structures, proof that cave fish evolved from ancestors that could see but lost that ability when they moved to dark environments. Amazing, di ba? Even in darkness, evolution leaves its marks. So again, let's have a quick recap of what we have discussed today. Pagsamasamahin natin ang lahat. Fossils show change over time through layers of rocks. Ang mas malalim ay mas luma at makikita ang pagbabago mula sa mga sinaunang organisms hanggang sa kasalukuyan. Biogeography, no? It show change by location and distribution. Kung saan nakatira ang mga organisms at paano sila kumalat ay nagsasabi ng kwento tungkol sa kanilang mga ninuno at pagbabago. Then comparative morphology show change from common ancestors through body structure comparison. Ang homologous, analogous at vestigial structures ay nagpapakita ng relasyon at pagbabago ng mga organisms. So tatlong magkakaibang paraan pero iisa ang sinasabi. Nagbabago ang mga organismo sa paglipas ng panahon. All these different lines of evidence come together to support the theory of evolution. hindi lang ito basta hula. Ito ay based sa siyensya, ebidensya at maingat na pag-aaral. Okay? So the story of life on Earth is written in fossils, in maps, and in the very structures of our bodies. And that wraps up our lesson for today. Maraming salamat sa inyong pakikinig at pakikilahok. I hope you learned something new and interesting about the evidence of evolution. Remember, science is all about asking questions, looking for evidence, and discovering the amazing story of our world. And before we end, let me leave you with this quote adapted from Charles Darwin. In the long history of humankind, those who learned and collaborated most effectively have prevailed. Kaya patuloy tayong matuto, magtanong at magtulungan. If you enjoyed this lesson, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more science lessons, and hit the notification bell para updated kayo sa mga susunod nating videos. Okay? So once again, this is Ma'am Jacqueline T. Bautista saying, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep being amazing. Bye everyone. So see you in our next lesson.